Go ahead.
Yes, well, we're going to go on to number 9, 3 additional board members.
Mr. Chair, I think because we're about to lose board members, I'd like to recommend that we at least address the budget. But it's
Okay,
very important that,
yes, okay.
that definitely addressed in this meeting. So that's my
And there were
recommendation.
two budgets were presented, one by treasurer and one by an amended budget by Bernadette.
Just a correction, the budget is on page 73 and is presented by the CEO.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so this budget in a summary projects $8.5 million in revenue in 2024. Total expenses projected at 7.1 million, 7,112,665. Key assumptions is that we will expect 300 new applications a month, and that's based on current trend. What are we projecting for next year? Recertification rates are based on 93%, which is again our current recertification rate. This budget recommends a 15% increase in the school fees, which are going to go into effect for schools that apply after June 1st. And this will not really impact most schools until 2026. This is kind of basic key assumptions for the revenues. In my report here, I highlighted some major key assumptions to point out to the board and to the public about things to focus on the expense side. We budgeted additional amounts for hiring a chief operating officers. There's some changes in the way we are going to be rolling IT and cybersecurity. At the year end, we are projecting that we will have $5.7 million in cash on hand. That's pretty much the highlight of this.
Thank you.
If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to address them.
Bernadette, Heather, and Michael Marylander have their hands raised.
Okay. Go ahead, Bernadette, you first.
Okay, I wanted to make a clarification, if I may. Jeff, I wasn't presenting another budget. What I was intending was suggested amendments to the budget that Almost has presented. And after people have asked questions, if it's appropriate, I wanted to discuss why I think we should look at these potential amendments and why I'm offering them as friendly amendments or as part of a motion that I would make.
Okay, Bernadette, I looked at your potential revisions. What are you basing your numbers on? Where did you pull these numbers from?
Oh, what I based the numbers on, for example, what I was looking at in terms of, say, I Almost talked about the fact that he was discussing that about raising the fees for schools. So I looked I compared if we didn't raise the fee for schools as compared to if we did raise the fee for schools. What that would do for us in 2024, the difference between raising the fees and not raising the fees on our side is it's just about a $10,000 difference for the year. On the school side, we have 9 schools that will be expiring on July the 1st or later, and that's when this policy would go into effect. The fee increase would go into effect. On those school sides, for example, if the current fee is $6,000, it would be almost $7,000. It would be $6,900 for those schools to apply. In the context of what we were talking about earlier, with what's going on with the rules with the Department of Education, I thought it would be important to discuss that perhaps we don't want to increase fees on the schools at this time, especially since it is such a small amount of additional income that would go in on our side, whereas it would be much more significant for the schools. Also, when you're asking me, where did I get these numbers from? I looked at the budget, and based on, for example, Amos was saying that for new certifications, his assumption was 300 new applications a month. I just said, if we assume 290 applications a month, just being a little bit more conservative, because actually looking at the treasurer's report and seeing that the treasurer had said that it was about 290 a month that we were averaging on new applications. And on the 93% recertification rate, I suggested that we should consider assuming 88% recertification rate, just because we might have had, that's a more, historically, that's what it's been more like in the past. And the last 12 months may have been an anomaly in terms of the fact that because we changed our policy about allowing for people for late recertification, basically people can, there is no time limit on when they can recertify if their certificate has been expired. And so I was thinking that we might want to look at that as, are we going to continue to have 93% recertification, or is that kind of just a bump that we got right after we changed the policy? And I thought that this would be an opportunity for Amos and for the treasurer to comment on this in what their discussion was.
Thank you, thank you. We got other people that want to give out. But Amos, can you address? Go ahead.
I want to address it real quick. So, first of all, generally speaking, regardless of what the board is going to do in regard to the budget, I am looking forward to working with Bernadette or any other board member after today. If there are any issues that require going back and retweaking it, the board always has the possibility to go back next board meeting and tweak and make some changes. So I appreciate the fact that Bernadette sent us ahead of time her suggestions and all her diligence in doing so. So looking forward to working with everybody on this issue. Pertaining to the recertification rate, so you are correct that the board passed this motion to allow people to recertify at any time. But one thing we wanted to make sure is we only informed a small percentage of our certificate holder that is available, because we decided to do a test run with our outreach. And I believe, John, you correct me if I'm wrong, I think we sent a notification only to 10% of the people who were eligible to do that. And we got this bump. we have a cohort of approximately 30,000 people that will qualify to recertify. We wanted to make sure that staff would be able to handle it. So the truth of the matter is, I wouldn't be surprised that if we now send a notification to the remaining 90% of the 30,000, we actually going to get even higher recertification rate.
Amos, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do the schools' fees at the existing level cover the expenses that CAMTC takes on to do that, or is it paid out of the funds generated by the certified therapist?
So this is a great question. This is an issue that the board has been discussing for quite some time. No, they don't. The current fees does not cover all the expenses related to the schools and disciplinary actions related to schools. It is not covered. It is kind of subsidized by the certificate holders. So one of the comments we got last year where the board voted to raise fees was that we should really look into making small increments over a period of time, not like big bumps. So Bernadette is correct. This is less than $10,000 would be generated for CMTC next year if you do implement that fee increase. If you don't implement next year, at some point you'll have to look into this matter. So, but to answer your question, no, it does not cover, and it will not even be covered even with this with a small increase. Also, one more thing is, and we make it possible for schools to apply for shorter recertification, so they don't have to do the 6,000. They can do 3,000 or can do less than that. So I think it translates to $275 or something like that increase. But it is an issue that the board will need to look at some point. And nobody likes to increase fees. Staff always look for places where we can reduce fees. I'm happy in the last 12 months, we're able to initiate reduction in fees in 4 different areas, 3 levels of late fees we recommended reducing, and we have reduced, and another fee related to requesting additional certificates.
Thank you. And now Heather, you have your hand raised.
I appreciate all of the work that CEO did on the budget, and I really appreciate, Bernadette, your feedback. And now I understand a little bit more of what, some of the thinking behind both of you. But let me just get some clarification here. So almost you're projecting, it sounds to me somewhat of an optimistic growth in inventory. I'll just use the word inventory. But the treasurer's report is much more guarded and cautious, and in some respects is intimating a downturn and reductions here and there. And as I well know from my day job, it is it is really risky to be too optimistic, particularly in this economy. And so I do have some general concerns about the optimism in the growth, particularly after reviewing the treasurer's report and the trending. And then also specifically, I think that when I was looking at this and trying to understand Bernadette's, alternatives and understand where you were coming up with the proposed budget, I think what I was missing is some additional information on this document and, for example, units. And so it made it difficult for me to understand ahead of time when I was reviewing it, what the thinking was around it, increasing here and, while keeping this flat. And so my suggestion or recommendation is, is to help the board and of course me, is to provide more information, the units and an explanation of why things are, why you're envisioning things going up by as much as you do or down by as much as you do. And then finally, a specific question on salaries. Does the increase of approximately 30% for the proposed budget specifically include the COO that the board has been discussing? Just wanted to get that point of clarification. You had alluded to it in your prior statement. Just wanted to confirm that.
Correct. So that is anticipating or planning to be able to bring a COO sometime in the second quarter of next year.
Okay, so it is baked in to this budget.
Correct.
And is that the lion's share of the 30% increase in the senior management line item?
The other increase, I think, is like 2%.
Okay. And like I said, I think that's just another example of it would be really helpful to have, to be able to see if there was an FTE change, then, and then the explanation, then that would be really clear. So I appreciate that. Those are my questions.
I do just want to respond to your comment about optimistic. This is not an optimistic budget. This is so in the past, I used to take a very super conservative approach to the budget, and Ron Bates, may he rest in peace, kind of would criticize us for taking such a super conservative approach. So is that to try to be as realistic as possible. So all we did here in the projections was trying to keep it as is. So I'm not anticipating growth. I'm anticipating that the recertification rate will stay at the current rate, and maybe the 290 is for new applicants is correct, but
can I
100. Just so you understand, I'm not anticipating us growing, anticipating us maintaining.
Michael Marylander has a comment.
Go ahead, Mike.
On new applications, just going back through September is the data I have in front of me. This year, new applications is the lowest it's been in the last 4 years, but only slightly. And if you take the total of the 4 years through September, the average is 311 new applications a month. So 311, it seems right in line with what the historical average has been.
Okay, thank you. Ed, I'll come back to you, Mike. Let's give Mike Callagher a chance to say his piece.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeff. My question really is about around the miscellaneous contingencies. For such a small organization, it seems like a lot of money there. I'd love to see a breakout of those, and you can send them to me, Amos, and to Bernadette, the co-chair of the audit committee, just so we can take a look at those. Thanks.
I'll be happy to.
And now, Mike Marylander, anything you'd like to add to this conversation?
No, I originally, when I raised my hand to have a conversation, I thought I would have to make a motion. So I was going to make a motion to approve the CEO's budget for 2024.
Well, you can go ahead and make that motion.
Okay.
Well, Mike, you going to do it?
Oh, I thought I did. I'd like to make a
Make the
motion.
motion.
Like to make a motion that we approve the CEO's proposed budget for 2024.
And do we have a second?
Stephanie Powell, second.
Thank you. And speaking for this,
just in line with what was already spoken, I think that the recertification assumption is pretty much in line with historical average. The new applications received is in line with, for the most part, with the historical average. So it seems realistic to me. And also on the expense side, adding a COO.
Okay, and now speaking against this,
I'll speak against, and it's not to say that I don't ultimately approve the budget, but I think that there should be more information provided to the board. It included on the budget sheet moving forward to include units and descriptions, and then why the change, proposed changes, so that we can, better review the thinking in advance of the meeting. And so I would oppose that approving it this time and wait until more information is received at the next board meeting before approving.
thank you. And now, anyone else speaking for approval of this budget?
Jeff?
Yeah.
I'm not speaking for, but I do have well, I had a question about like communications and outreach in terms of why it was increased for next year. If Amos could address that.
So one of the issue also had to do with, I don't know if Jennifer is still on a call with us, about the way we are coding and accounting for what is considered to be outreach. So for example, when Rick does training for law enforcement, and he has to travel someplace to do that, that is really, even though it's travel, but is for the functional purpose of outreach. So as we were working on our P&Ls this year, Jennifer kept noticing that, so we are changing that and starting to allocate more. What is the purpose of a certain activity, not really only the activity it is. So in order to reflect that more accurately in the budget, that is one factor in here that create that number to be higher.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else speaking for this motion? Speaking against this motion?
Sarah Fraser has her hand raised, sir.
Oh, Sarah,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Hi there. I wanted to see if this is the point to make a friendly amendment. I know that we are going into that year, and I'm wondering, I really truly agree with Heather's kind of perspective on needing more information. I feel like Bernadette's version that was sent over explained more to me more clearly on her spreadsheet than what I was getting from the board packet. So I'm wondering if we are approving and Amos is willing to work with board members, if in the next meeting we could receive the budget again with those kind of details spelled out so that we could look at it as a team again. I don't know if that helps approval or not.
Absolutely. I will reach out to you and to Bernadette and to Heather and make sure that I'm including the very specific information you would like to see on any other board member. And I will work with you in breaking down those specific details in the future board meeting. And,
yeah,
and the board has the authority in the next board meeting to amend this budget. This is not like in stone that you have to live with it for the rest of your life. You can change it anytime you want.
I have a point of information. Do we need to approve a budget before the end of the year? Is that, we don't have to? We can.
Well, we do, because, come January, we need to, this is why when the board dealt with situations in the past, what they will do, they will approve a preliminary budget like in December, and come back like in March or in April and relook at the stuff and approve of the more permanent budget. That is also something the board have done in the past, not every year. But either way, when you approve this budget, you can always amend it in the next board meeting.
So I'll raise my hand. I would like to approve this budget and then look at it at the next board meeting and make appropriate revisions if we have to. Anyways,
And Mark Dixon has his hand raised as well, sir.
go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to ask that all the correspondence between members of the board and the CEO between now and the next board meeting, that I be CC'd on those so I can keep up to speed, please.
That makes sense. Okay. Bernadette,
Bernadette has a question.
So, Michael Marylander, along with what Sarah Fraser is saying, may I offer a friendly amendment to your motion?
Okay,
So the friendly amendment would be the board approves the preliminary budget as presented today. And actually has the CEO, or no, let me put it like this. The board approves a preliminary budget for the 2024 fiscal year and commits itself to having a meeting within 60 days of the beginning of the new year by conference call, if necessary, to just go over the budget again after the CEO has included more information, and to make any changes with the updated end of the year finals for 2024.
I guess I would
Go ahead,
accept
Mike.
that as long as I assume almost can tell me that it's enough time and whatnot.
Well, there's a lag time for the time we at the end of the year. I think what may be more if you may consider maybe within 90 days or within we were actually looking to do a meeting in March. So I think as long as we do the meeting in March, we'll be in good shape to address those issues. It's unrealistic that suddenly all of this money will be spent in the first 2 months of the year. So I think 60 days is a little on the tight side. But the idea for the board reconsidering it during the first 3 months of next year, I think it'll be doable.
Thank you.
Are you okay with that, Bernadette?
I am.
Okay.
So I'll accept that.
Okay. So let's have a vote, please.
Are we doing for and against, or did we already do that?
Well, I thought we were finished. Did you speak already, Heather? For it or against it?
I think did I
Yes,
speak against?
I recall hearing you speak
Okay,
on the budget.
I did speak a lot on the
You wanted
budget.
more clarification. That's what you said.
I did, yes.
Okay.
Right.
But I think we had a 4, then I need to speak against it. I think that it's not entirely against it. I mean, obviously, the budget can be changed. If we preface it by saying that this is a preliminary budget and we'll obtain more information, I mean, I think it's fine to go forward.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Rick McElroy has his hand up.
Okay, Rick.
I know I'm not here to talk about the numbers. That's totally up to you guys. But I just want to give you a little historical perspective so you can chew on this a little bit by the time the next meeting shows we have. We don't look for conferences and meetings to go to spend money needlessly. Beverly and I work closely together with Amos, and we look at different conferences that we'll have the largest impact on, and that our audience would benefit the most from. And as an example, the CMRTA, the California Municipal Revenue and Tax Association, is a prime audience, and we presented a class there just for the civilians for our Operation Get Smart, which I'll talk to you about later today. But you know, we're doing everything by Zoom. I mean, I never leave the house unless I have to go to a conference. So the money that we're saving from what I used to do in the past, where I would travel to the Bay Area, and for a week I would travel from city to city to city to provide training, we're doing the whole state on Zoom every month, twice a month. So just as a sort of a point of reference, that the way that we are doing the training has been saving significant amounts of money. So I just wanted to throw that out there for everyone to digest. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else care to speak? Public comments?
I do not see any raised hands.
Thank you. And now I call for a vote.
Mike Callaghan,
I'll vote yes as a preliminary budget.
Mark Dixon,
Yes.
Shayna Faber,
Yes.
Heather Forshay,
No.
Sarah Fraser,
Yes.
Jennifer Gonzalez,
Yes.
Michael Marylander,
Yes.
Bernadette Murray,
No.
Stephanie Powell,
Yes.
Martha Soffer, Jeff Foreman,
Yes. What are the
8
numbers?
yeses,
Hey, thank you.
2 noes, 1 absent.
Great. Thank you.
Sorry, how many yeses?
8 yeses, 2 noes, 1 absent.
Okay. And now,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
are you planning on, just so people know, are you planning on any kind of a break today for lunch?
yeah, do you want to take a lunch break now? How long do you want to take it?
It's up to the board.
Okay. Half hour, 40
How about
minutes?
till 1 o'clock?
Okay. We reconvene at 1 o'clock. Sounds good. And so, let's close this, and 1 o'clock we'll reconvene. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're gonna leave the meeting now and then
Yes.
log back in?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank
All right.
you.
thank you.